Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the advancing of the colors and remain standing for the United States National Anthem.
Colors, forward, march! Present the command. Shoulder, fireworks, and 1, and 2, and 3. Present! Arms! And 1, and 2, and 3. Detachment. Present. Arms.
Please be seated.
Order! Arms! And 2. Order! Fireworks! And 1, and 2, and 3. Ceremonial! At ease! And 1, and 2. Stack. Ceremonial.
At this time, Major General Pepin moving to the floor to honor the retiree. The Joint Meritorious Civilian Service Award is being presented to Mr. Egon F. Hawrylak. Mr. Egon F. Hawrylak, Senior Executive Service, distinguished himself by exceptionally meritorious service while serving as the Deputy Commander, Joint Task Force, National Capital Region, United States Northern Command, Fort Leslie J. McNair, Washington, D.C. from 29 April 2007 to 31 December 2022. During this period, Mr. Hawrylak's outstanding leadership resulted in monumental contributions to the development of Joint Task Force National Capital Region and the myriad of successes of the command's full range of operational missions. As the Deputy Commander, he delivered exceptional and effective leadership, exercising general supervision over the command in the absence of the Commanding General. Mr. Hawrylak supported the Commanding General in leading a staff of Army and Joint Force service members and Department of Defense civilians, 12 major subordinate commands, which included installations and supported commands, as well as 4 service component commands. His knowledge of policies and strategy led to successful execution of several historic Department of Homeland Security designated national special security events. to include 5 presidential inaugurations, 3 state funerals, and multiple events supporting presidents of the United States and senior civilian and military leaders. Mr. Hawrylak ensured a 100% obligation of the Army budget of $120 million and the joint budget of $6 million. He assured validation of yearly funding of all joint unfunded requirements and increased joint funding annually by an average of 60%. Lastly, Mr. Hawrylak's oversight of audit readiness led to no findings and exceeded Department of Defense statutory and United States Air Force small business objectives with 100% of contracts awarded. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Mr. Hawrylak culminate a distinctive career in the service of his country and reflect great credit upon himself and the Department of Defense. At this time, a special gift is being presented to Mr. Hawrylak from the service members and DA civilians of the command. Also, at this time, a dozen yellow roses are being presented to Mr. Hawrylak's daughter, Kristen Schreckeyes, and daughter-in-law, Kate Hawrylak. A single yellow rose is being presented to granddaughter Grace Schreckeyes and Finley Hawrylak. Coins are being presented to his son Andrew Hawrylak, son-in-law Robert Schreckeyes, and grandchildren Jackson Schreckeyes and Sullivan Hawrylak. We are proud to recognize the devotion to Hawrylak. We wish him happiness and prosperity in his well-earned retirement.
Stand by. Staff. Attention. Hold guard. Attention. And 1 and 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the posting of the colors.
Post the colors. Staff. Right. Face.
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, Major General Pepin.
All right, for the old soldiers, you probably noticed we marched off our soldiers before we started the speeches. And many of you probably wish that happened when you were a young soldier standing out there on the formation. So that's about innovation, and that idea came from the TOG, and we supported it, and the good news is the senior leaders of the Army, they support this approach, right, taking care of people. Again, it's a great day to serve our nation. It's a great day to be in uniform regardless of what service you're in, and it's a great day to honor a true legacy and one of our plank holders, Mr. Egon Hawrylak. And it's really great to see the family here and the community. Current and former general officers and flag officers, senior executive service officials, command sergeants, majors, inter-agency, joint service, and community leaders and teammates. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, but most importantly, Mr. Egon Hawrylak's family. Welcome as we retire our senior executive service deputy commander, who is a Joint Task Force National Capital Region plank holder, and a long-standing respected leader in the Military District of Washington, as well as in our joint operation area that includes the District of Washington and parts of Maryland and Virginia. It is my honor to host today's special ceremony in recognition of Mr. Egon Hawrylak's over 48 years of service to our nation. It's amazing because he's only 55 years old. Early today, I was honored to host him as he laid a private wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Again, a symbolic symbol of those who've laid the ultimate sacrifice for our nation, those who still have not returned. And it's about a symbol of Egon's commitment to all service members and the Gold Star families. So Ms. KDA and the teammates at ANC, as well as Rick Jackson, thanks for your team to be out there this morning. It's our honor. Great teams. I want to especially recognize Egon's sister, Sonia, and brother Michael, who are such key influences in Egon's life. And for those who don't know, Egon is an identical twin to his brother Michael, so we don't actually know if this is Egon sitting in front of us. His daughter Kristen, her husband Robert, and grandson Jackson, as well as Egon's son Andrew, his wife Kate, and grandson Sullivan, and granddaughter Finley. And finally, Priscilla and granddaughter Grace that are listening virtually. Thank you for taking the time and celebrate and recognize Egon's distinguished service in your presence today. He is so proud. He's a true family man, and I can admit there's probably not a day that's gone by and we've had our conversations at the end of the day that he has not mentioned his family or things he was going to do with the family. And so I know he's looking forward to more time with his loved ones. I want to thank our protocol team and our community outreach directorate team, our old guard and prison zone that stood before you. They do make everything look and feel special. And our staff that put the ceremony together from concept to execution today. Egon, the Joint Task Force in the National Capital Region, and the U.S. Army Military District of Washington would literally not be as capable today without your dedicated and sustained commitment and work ethic, and genuine care for the people who execute that mission. In support of our Department of Defense, our NORTHCOM higher headquarters from a COCOM perspective, and our Army, anything I say in the speech will fall well short of everything he's actually impacted and has been felt across the community. But to do so, we would have to be here for the weekend. Again, your breadth of impact will be felt even after you leave. And your legacy has influenced so many generations of soldiers, leaders, and civilians, so thank you. But more importantly, every life, every man and woman that has served here, whether in uniform or as a civilian, you've left an impact on them. You showed what right looks like. You showed what the ethics and the profession and what we can do in relationships and professional focus. So thank you, Egon. And I have learned from you, just like the CGs I'll mention that served before me, each of us have learned from your example. It will take hours again to capture that impact, so I'll just try to highlight significant milestones on this journey. And his time here in the Military District of Washington started when he was a colonel. And while still in uniform in the Army, Egon served as Director of Operations for the Military District of Washington. And again, he was here during the tragic events on 9/11. So when our nation was attacked, when the Pentagon was attacked on September 11th, 2001, he was one of the first responders from this headquarters, trying to solve a problem not only for the Pentagon, really for our nation as we were under attack. He was on the ground coordinating initial rescue missions with the local EMS, law enforcement, and military service members. It was his idea, for those who remember or have seen, the U.S. flag that was draped over the Pentagon on the side to cover the scar of the Pentagon wreckage. It will be forever that image of the flag crystallized in our nation's history and a symbol and honor for those who lost their lives on 9/11, but also a symbol of our nation's resiliency. And each year on the anniversary, they replicate that flag coming down to remind us, you can hurt us, but you can't break us. That day and the impact it would have on Egon would continue to drive his relentless energy and commitment to this nation, to our organization, and the diverse mission set that our men and women do every day and to prepare for the next mission that requires their unmatched readiness. I know he will mention that defining experience in his remarks. In response to the events of 9/11 at the Pentagon, a joint executive was issued on 2003 that established this United States Army Military District of Washington as a joint task force headquarters for the National Capital Region under U.S. NORTHCOM, which was established the year prior in 2002 as a central coordinator for military operations in the NCR. Egon's knowledge of the existing Military District of Washington structure allowed him to establish the strong relationships with local, state, federal partners and linkages into the Army staff and the Pentagon. His work with numerous Army installations and subordinate to the command were instrumental within this transition from an Army military command to a joint command, from the principal focus from ceremonial duties to one that requires us to defend the homeland as a ground force component, and again, the operational set in the theater requirements. Fast forward to 2021, Egon played an instrumental role in converting this headquarters again from a standing joint task force following the events that took place in the Capitol on January 6, 2021. So throughout his tenure, he has been the point man in change and improvements. As a deputy commander for over 15 years, Egon supported 8 commanding generals in leading the staff and Army and Joint Force service members and DoD civilians, 12 major subordinate commands, which included 4 installations and supported commands, as well as 4 service component commands and the JTF operations and exercises. He has been committed to each and every organization and their leaders and their subordinates to ensure their success, as well as the collective team success, remained our priority. And under that, to ensure our people were cared for. Egon created a command climate that encouraged and inspired unity of effort over unity of command and the operational purpose it serves. His efforts ensure the Joint Task Force NCR maintains situational awareness and operational readiness to conduct defense support to civil authorities with trusted partner for Homeland Security, as well as the Homeland Defense and National Special Security events, requiring Department of Defense support and our community outreach. The relationships he has built is actually key to that readiness. As point man for all coordination within our interregional partners and adjacent to the NCR, Egon's continuous professionalism and personal engagements contribute to the success of 42 JTF-NCR operations, 34 which are designated a National Special Security event by the Department of Homeland Security, to include 5 presidential inaugurations and state funerals for Presidents Reagan, Bush, and Ford. And those aren't easy, heavy lifts, but he makes it look easy to the outside world. There's no better Department of Defense ambassador, and he has earned his high respect and trust among regional stakeholders as a strategic leader and team builder who greatly enhances readiness across the community and enhances the United States Northern Command's ability to migrate and integrate and mitigate regional challenges in the NCR. Egon reinforced trusted and unprecedented lifelong interagency partnerships and enhanced organizational relationships by coordinating full wreath honor ceremonies for our interagency partners that symbolize our unity of effort. He also engaged and led multiple inclusive interagency partner events, which sustained the friendship that he started and developed during his time as an operational officer here and continued as a deputy commander. Recognizing a significant gap in regional coordination due to COVID, Egon led in the reestablishment of the Metropolitan Washington Council of Government Emergency Preparedness Council. This is the only forum in the NCR bringing elected officials and emergency managers together to solve complex problems in the region. With a turnover in personnel, this initiative was essential. As a member of the United States Secret Service chaired Executive Steering Committee, Egon led efforts to deliver prompt and responsive consequent management support, seamlessly integrating Department of Defense assets in support of 19 State of the Union Congress and 3 no-notice Joint Task Force operations to include the response to COVID-19, civil disturbance operations, and Salute to America. As a founding member of the FEMA NCR Joint Federal Committee Steering Group and chair to the Training and Exercise Subcommittee, you can't even put that on a business card, he assisted in facilitating federal support to agencies in the National Capital Region, sustaining the NCR as a center of excellence that is truly relevant and ready and proactive. Egon has also engaged each element on how this command operates and uses its incredibly talented soldiers and civilians from the TOG and our bands to maximize telling the Army story and our joint story to the public. With all that, ladies and gentlemen, Egon still has every day taken the time of his busy schedule to take a small walk down to our gas station mini mart to purchase a sandwich, a drink, maybe a chip or 2. I think he's the only one that's actually keeping that gas station running. If you had any question about his love and loyalty to this command, you can't miss Egon's vehicle driving around the NCR. It's simple, because his license plate says JTF-NCR. Now, so we have an ongoing bet, no money involved because that's illegal. Will he keep the license plate, or one of you may actually be able to buy it on eBay? Egon, it goes without saying, your presence in this command was incredibly impactful, and you will be missed. You have left an honorable legacy and giant shoes to fill. I would be remiss not to include a few highlights from former commanding generals that served with you as well as advised and supported along the way. So I'm going to start with Major General retired James Jackson, who was a CG from 2000 to 2003, who is here today. He hired Egon as his operations officer, so brilliant move, in July of 2001. And he reflects during and after 9/11. And he told me Egon was chief architect for the first briefing they had to do to the commander of the Northern Command. This initial briefing set the process in motion to ultimately lead this organization, as you know, of the command we see today. His efforts to research, build, and then assist in delivery of this brief were instrumental to this success. While we believe we were offering DoD a no-brainer solution, things could have easily gone differently without his participation, knowledge of the command, and mission. Understanding the requirements of the region and the resources available to us, needs to say, his efforts and skills made the work occur behind the scenes and has helped the current command on a more supportable course. I found him to be a great teammate. He also subordinated his personal desires to the overall good of the team, and I wish you the very best. The next one is from Major General Galen Jackson, who was a commanding general, Jackman, the commanding general from 2003 to 2005, and considers Egon one of the plank holders of modern security operations in the NCR and a superb leader and teammate. He named him a trailblazer for organizing, coordinating, and operationalizing the JTF headquarters NCR in an environment of urgency and national security level implications. During their time, Egon assisted in military support coordination following the anthrax attack on the House of Representatives, President Bush's inauguration, and multiple State of the Union addresses, President Reagan's funeral, and the World War II memorial dedication. He ensured the Joint Force Headquarters NCR was fully nested and coordinated in the larger Homeland Defense concepts, and he was instrumental in standardizing command relationships and operational procedures for the Joint Force Headquarters NCR subordinates. Next is Lieutenant General retired Guy Swan, CG from 2005, who selected Egon to be the DCOM in 2007 and stated he really worked with anyone as professional and knowledgeable as Egon. He is a national treasure in so many ways. He will be hard to replace, and his successor will have big shoes to fill. You can see a theme here. In the words of Major General retired Rich Rowe, CG from 2007 to 2009, I had the privilege of serving with Egon. As he stepped into the position of Deputy Commander, he immediately made a difference in the effectiveness of the Joint and Army headquarters. To this day, he has continued to be a valued teammate, insightful leader, and committed advocate for the command through several of us who served with him. The four actions of learn, communicate, innovate, and prioritize epitomize what Egon has brought to the command. Major General retired Carl Hurst, the CG from 2009 to 2011, and a dear friend of Egon, who is here as well, shared, in my estimate, Egon was a consensus MVP for every commanding general he's worked for. He was the continuity, the institutional knowledge, and the wise counsel behind the multiple general officers he served with as a deputy commander. Egon consistently provided thoughts, insightful thoughts, and rock-solid recommendations to the most difficult and vexing challenges. Egon is the ultimate team player, the embodiment of professional competence, loyalty to the command, and humility. Always, and most importantly, Egon is a trusted and loyal friend. Next is Lieutenant General retired Mike Lincoln, CG from 2011 to 2013, who is also here today. He stated, Egon clearly is the glue behind the success of the Military District of Washington and Joint Force Headquarters NCR through multiple command teams over the last 2 decades. He trained me and Command Sergeant Major Mike Williams on how to lead and accomplish a successful while significantly reducing the size and strength of external support from across the Joint Force due to wartime considerations in Afghanistan. Literally, the command could never have accomplished what Egon implemented without his support and leadership and Herculean efforts. No matter the task, Mr. Hawrylak has always a voice of reason, optimism, and can-do. Whether it's DISCA, NSC events, guarding the national capital, Kupacog, summary support, or educating our citizens on our nation's military, Egon is the model for selfless service. Next we have Lieutenant General retired Jeff Buchanan, the CG from 2013 to 2015, stated, Egon is absolutely selfless. He models Army values. He is a real expert in joint and interagency operations and team building to maximize unity of effort. Egon helped tremendously in navigating the civilian personnel system, both Army and Air Force, taking it upon himself to educate me, as well as all part of his relentless drive to care for his subordinates. Then we have Lieutenant General retired Michael Howard, CG, 2017 to 2019. When I learned when I was going to the Military District of Washington, former MDW commanders reached out with advice. Central to everyone's advice was, Mr. Hawrylak is wonderful. He knows everyone in D.C., and most of them owe him a favor. He is respected by everyone in D.C., and he can do anything. They were right. Shortly after arriving, Mr. H gave me the command brief at warp speed. Over the next 2 years, I heard him give the same brief a dozen times. One of my personal goals was to try to intellectually keep up with him. I mean, absorb his every word as he spouted off MDW factoids at the speed of light. Sadly, I never got there. Nobody knows MDW like Egon knows it. Nobody. Periodically, Mr. H would come into the office and close the door. The moments where he came in and dedicatedly and professionally corrected my aspect. Man, I am glad he did that. Most wouldn't. He made me better. Then we have Lieutenant General Omar Jones, CG 2019 to 2021, highlighted, more than any other individual, Egon Hawrylak personifies the Military District of Washington and Joint Task Force National Capital Region. Through the tragedy of 9/11, the ongoing expansion of the Joint Mission Set, and enduring support of our Army, Egon has provided unwavering counsel, leadership, and friendship. He is a glue that binds the MDW team together and connects us to the great NCR community. He will be deeply missed, but his legacy with the Guardians will undoubtedly endure well into the future. So I have the burden of being the last CG, because apparently I made Egon quit. So as his final commander, it truly has been my honor to lead Egon and learn from his depth of experience for the past 18 months. I can attest he is a humble, selfless servant leadership, an actual man who thinks through critical problems, complex problems, and he solves them, often alone in time so he can break it down to the simplest pieces and then come back to the staff and explain it in an easy way to solve. He did not want this ceremony or this recognition. So it's the only time in my professional time with him that I actually had to give Egon a direct order. So again, I appreciate that he listened to it because you deserve this, my friend, and so I'm glad you listened. He absolutely deserves this recognition for his enduring service and impact to this command and those he has served, again, for over 48 years of service to our nation. There's no harder working and more dedicated SES that I have to have assignments in 4 different general officer headquarters. His moral compass and leadership, his team building, his desire to mentor our civilian workforce as well as military leaders is unmatched. And he has made the staff, subordinate units, and community better and more unified in purpose. Egon has provided sage advice, been a great sounding board, and a genuine friend. He is a steward of our ethics, professionalism, and enhancing readiness, and again, in support of unity of effort. I will miss his leadership in our in-a-day discussions. And I apologize every time you got home late, as we were either solving problems, sharing life experiences, they in some cases just kind of unwinding from a busy day. But Egon, always know the JTF-NCR MDW team remains your home. We hope you see in the future, or hope to see you in the future at many of the events that you so importantly have put together. Again, in part of our outreach support, and you've been so integral in establishing those relationships. And once again, Egon, on behalf of past, present, and even future men and women that will serve in this Joint Task Force and this Military District of Washington, again, thank you. Thank you for your, on behalf of a grateful nation, and thank you for your nearly 50 years of incredible selfless service. And again, I think if we establish a Hall of Fame for this command, I'd probably easily nominate you as my #1 candidate, and I'm pretty sure all the previous CGs would second that motion. Again, Egon, God bless you and God bless your family. And even though on this day you technically retire as a U.S. Air Force civilian employee, I wish you the very best in your next chapter as a soldier for life. Please keep those in your thoughts who are deployed in defense of this nation. And never forget those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation and the Gold Star families that carry that sacrifice. Keep those who carry the wounds of war, both physical and the unseen. And remember, the dedication on the nation, as long as it stays strong, we will rest democracy in this world. God bless all of you, and thanks for being here.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Hawrylak.
Senior leaders, distinguished guests, colleagues, friends, too many to mention by name. Thank you all for joining me here today to celebrate my upcoming retirement. It's truly an honor to be standing before you. I'm humbled by your presence and this special retirement ceremony. I've had an amazing journey serving our military some 48+ years and depart with many fond memories. I can't think of a better place to end my career than with this command. I'm so proud to have been part of this unique organization, having watched it grow from the events of 11 September 2001 to the regional center of excellence that it is today. I'd like to especially thank Major General Pepin for hosting this ceremony and recognizing my efforts, and more importantly, for enabling me to be his deputy. He empowered me to do my job. A person can't ask for more than that. We've been blessed to have Major General Pepin as our commander, commanding both the U.S. Army Military District of Washington and the Joint Task Force National Capital Region under U.S. Northern Command. I don't know of any other commander with such a diverse portfolio and underlying responsibilities. Major General Pepin empowered us all and created the environment in which great ideas and forward progress could happen, which is a trademark of a great leader. Sir, I'll miss our evening conversations and life stories you shared. After all, mentoring is about sharing human experiences, not processes. Thank you to Christy League, the Command's Protocol Officer and Army of One, for not only today's ceremony, but all the flawless events you've planned and executed on behalf of this command. I would also like to thank our Ceremonies and Outreach Directorate, Jim Laufenberg, personal friend, Gary Hardy, Marcy Seeger, Amvid, and the entire team for orchestrating the ceremony and all the national level ceremonies and outreach events you orchestrate in the National Capital Region on behalf of the Department of Defense, each flawlessly executed. I'm blessed to have two of the Army's most prestigious organizations participate in today's ceremony, the 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard, and the United States Army Band Pershing Zone. They represent the best of the best and their fellow soldiers deployed around the world, and bring a level of professionalism, precision, and discipline to this ceremony that could not be duplicated by any other Army. Please join me in another round of applause for Christy, Cod, and those two premier organizations. I thought hard about how I was going to cover 48 plus years of service and dedication, so I decided to break it down into 4 groups: my immediate family, my military family, the Military District of Washington and Joint Task Force, and my university family. I'll tackle the hardest and most important one first, my family. I'm grateful and thank God for providing me good health and a supportive family, which allowed me to experience the wonderful opportunities that have been presented to me over the years. I'm the person I am today because of the standard setting of my parents and a wonderful sister, Sonia, and my twin brother, Michael, who provided the guidance, example, and counsel to make me the person I am today. I must say, having an identical twin brother didn't hurt. When trouble occasionally brewed, which it did, I'd simply blame it on him. This was especially beneficial when we attended Ranger School together. Priscilla, AKA Sally, so as not to confuse those who knew her prior to the mid-90s when she decided to stop using the family name, or the family nickname, I should say, has always been there for me. Unfortunately, Priscilla could not be here today. Her priorities in the right place, caring for 2 Yorkies, 3 golden retrievers, 2 of which belong to my daughter, and our granddaughter, Grace, all 2-hour-plus drive away. I credit Priscilla for the wonderful children we have today. Kristen, who is a department chair for the science department at Fort Defiance High School and adjunct professor at Blue Ridge Community College, here today with her husband, Robert, and their 2nd grader, Jackson, J-Man. And their youngest, Grace, as I mentioned, is with Priscilla. And my son, Andrew, who is the chief operating officer at ILM Capital, and his wife, Kate, and their 2 lovely children, Sullivan and Finley. It's a special day today for Kate. So on behalf of everyone here, Kate, happy birthday. And not to be outdone, tomorrow is Robert's birthday. So Rob, happy birthday to you as well. Kate's mom, Jeannie Singer, is also with us today, and she recently retired as the Deputy Director for Support for the Central Intelligence Agency. True happiness is when you realize your kids have turned out to be wonderful and amazing adults, and we couldn't be happier and proud of our children. And that extends to Robert and Kate, the amazing individuals they married. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention 2 mentors and role models here today who have significantly contributed to Andrew's and the person he is today. Mike and Teresa Wheeler, and Larry and Linda Pelliceni. Thank you for your positive impact on Andrew's life, and more importantly, thank you for your military service. Priscilla did the heavy lift through multiple PCSs, the short and long deployments, the training exercises, the TDYs, and the late nights at work. Initially a school teacher, she found a greater calling, and juggling between being a full-time mom and a student, she earned her law degree. Priscilla recently retired, a successful attorney in her own right, also from the Central Intelligence Agency. Berlin, Germany was our first duty assignment in the Army. McNair Barracks housed the infantry, armor, and artillery units of the U.S. Army's Berlin Brigade, where I was stationed. The barracks were named after Lieutenant General Leslie J. McNair, who served in both World War I and World War II. So now, ironically, as I retire at the end of my career, I might find myself retiring from Fort McNair once again, also named after Lieutenant General Leslie J. McNair. Berlin was certainly a unique city, surrounded by a 12-foot wall defining east from west. On the eastern side, Soviet occupation and communism. On the western side, democracy and freedom. On one December evening, Priscilla and I created a little stir as we entered Checkpoint Charlie to attend a holiday function with battalion friends at an East German restaurant. We entered Checkpoint Charlie, displayed our passes through the window, as usual, when the East German guards took notice of a Christmas cake on Priscilla's lap, which she had baked and decorated with Santa Claus and the words Frohe Weihnachten, i.e. Merry Christmas, inscribed. I think the guards were stunned, perhaps amused, as they all gathered around our car for what seemed like eternity as we pondered whether or not we had created an international incident. They eventually allowed us to pass through the checkpoint, followed, as we discovered, by an unmarked car. I need to thank my first platoon sergeant, Robert Speakman, for mentoring me as a young lieutenant. He taught me the value and importance of the non-commissioned officer corps. I had the opportunity to be assigned within the United States and overseas as part of 15 changes station moves. And more importantly, I had the privilege to serve with the famed 101st Airborne Division Air Assault, the Screaming Eagles, and at Fort Drum with the 10th Mountain Division, Climb to Glory, deploying to both Somalia and Haiti, while my brother Mike, who also served in the Army for 30 years, served 3 lesser tours at that lesser-known airborne division, the 82nd. I have many fond and wonderful memories serving with soldiers. One in particular at the 101st was with Colonel Ralph Hagler, whereas Jim Laufenberg, who was a young captain in the brigade at the time, and I would call him Who Was Six. Colonel Hagler constantly reinforced the most important leadership principle in soldiering is to set the example. You never send troops into danger which you would not yourself encounter, which explains why he, as a 2nd Ranger Battalion commander, jumped first in the Salinas airfield in Grenada with his Rangers from a dangerously low altitude of 500 feet. So there I am attending a meeting at 1st Brigade headquarters during a torrential downpour as Colonel Hagler returns from a road march to the 2nd Battalion. He enters the conference room where we're having this meeting, looks at us and asks, "What's wrong with this picture?" We knew what was in store. If soldiers get wet, leaders get wet. So within minutes, we all found ourselves outside doing push-ups, enjoying a Campbell downpour. While serving with the regulars by God of the 10th Mountain Division, I had the opportunity to meet and get to know 22nd Infantry veterans who served during World War II. I had the good fortune to hear incredible stories of bravery from Major General John Ruggles and Colonel Lawson Magruder Jr., the father of Lieutenant General Magruder, who served in the 22nd Infantry Division at Utah Beach on D-Day. There was no doubt they were clearly soldiers for life. I had wonderful opportunities here with the Military District of Washington and the Joint Task Force. I'm truly proud to have been part of this unique command and all your accomplishments, having watched it grow to the regional center of excellence that it is today. Your hard work and those who preceded you clearly made a difference. Each of you improved your foxhole every day and made this command what it is today. The 11th September attack was a defining moment in my life and probably in most people's lives. When asked why I remained with this organization as long as I have, I'd always point to the day after the Pentagon attack when Major General Jackson and I were escorted into the building by Chief Schwartz to get a first-hand look at the destruction. Dressed in a Tyvek suit and equipped with a flashlight, We eventually exited the building through a dark stairwell next to the impact area. As I pointed my flashlight on the debris-covered steps to keep from falling, the flashlight also highlighted the stairwell walls, where I noticed a heavy black soot caused by the fire and the smoke. But more importantly, what I noticed were the finger marks etched into that soot from the people who were searching that morning for a way to escape. We needed no further motivation to believe in our mission and the purpose behind the creation of the Joint Force Headquarters National Capital Region. We were poor but proud in those days. No one was going to fund a state-of-the-art operations center prior to 9/11 who would ever attack the nation's capital. I'm forever grateful for fellow employees such as Larry Cerruti, Dan Pickens, Chuck Foster, and Lieutenant Colonel Andy Hedmansky and others who accomplished the Herculean task in meeting the demands of the DoD recovery efforts immediately following the Pentagon attack, all under the steady leadership of Major General Jim Jackson. A thank you to Major General Jim Jackson for hiring me as his operations officer in July of 2001 and providing me the opportunity to be part of this wonderful organization, and to Lieutenant General Guy Swan for selecting me to be his deputy in 2007, two absolutely amazing leaders who I would follow anywhere. I made lasting friendships during my time here. The most impactful was Mr. Woody Goldberg, who until recently was a civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army, or CASA, for the District of Columbia. In my opinion, he set the gold standard for CASAs, engaging, recruiting, and more importantly, taking care of soldiers, as he did, for example, each Christmas Eve for the past 2 decades. With his wife, Susan, they delivered cookies each year to soldiers on duty, to include the sentinels at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Mr. Goldberg has contributed more to this beloved Army, to his beloved Army, than anyone else I know. He is an iconic figure in my eyes and a true role model and the embodiment of a soldier for life. He is here with us today, and I would like to ask that we all honor him with a round of applause for his years of dedicated service to the United States Army. I'll miss the camaraderie of fellow employees such as Brian Jones standing in my doorway following a Philadelphia Eagles win over the Washington Commanders. Although truth in lending, he did show up when we beat them here just recently, in their only loss of the year. Or Enoch Godbolt posting the Dallas-Washington football score on my car windshield, followed by countless emails. I'm sure those emails from both will find me in retirement. Dear friends such as Arnie Claudio, Major General Carl Horst, and Command Sergeant Mike Williams, AKA the Dream Team, and they'll be available for pictures after this, they're all here today, who worked tirelessly to establish the cornerstone of the interagency relationships that exist today, and more importantly, so meticulously coordinated and hosted a Pentagon Stone presentation for Arlington County Fire Department, the FBI Washington Field Office, the New York City Fire Department, done so in memory of those who lost their lives and the heroes who responded on 11 September 2001, and in recognition of our partnerships and shared responsibilities to serve the American people. I've had the pleasure to work with 5 incredible and absolutely unique organizations as part of the Military District of Washington, each a premier organization in their own right. United States Army Transportation Agency with their 72 master drivers that provide worldwide transportation support to the White House Military Office in support of the President. The Army Aviation Brigade, which provides world-class fixed and rotary wing support, as well as unique search and rescue capability, as contingency plans and named programs in support of Homeland Defense here in the nation's capital. And the Army's premier strategic engagement musical organization, the U.S. Army Field Band, touring across the continental United States, telling the Army story and connecting the American people to its Army. And I must highlight also a Grammy Award. As part of the 63rd Annual Grammy Awards, the Field Band won the Best Immersive Audio Album for Soundtrack of the American Soldier. Now, how cool is that? It clearly demonstrates the talent that is found in our 2 bands. The United States Infantry Old Guard that you saw today, the oldest active infantry unit in the Army, serving the United States since 1784, serves as the U.S. Army's official escort to the President and is the nation's premier memorial affairs and ceremonial unit. The Herculean work this regiment conducts daily is impressive. They serve as part of the JTF's initial operating force in providing defense support to civil authorities, execute official ceremonies in the nation's capital, honor our fallen heroes in Arlington National Cemetery by taking them to their final resting place, and standing watch 24 hours a day over the tomb of the unknown soldier. Everything the Old Guard does is accomplished to a single standard: perfection, because there are no do-overs for a family burying a hero in Arlington National Cemetery. And last but not least, United States Army Band Pershing Zone. As Dorothy said to the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz, "I think I'll miss you most of all." To steal a movie line, Pershing Zone had me at hello. Pershing Zone serves as a premier music organization of the America's Army, fulfilling the sacred duty of providing military honors in Arlington National Cemetery by paying final respects to fallen comrades, and equally important, setting the strategic environment for state and international diplomacy. One senior leader described Pershing Zone as the Delta Force of diplomacy. Whether the Army Chorus or Strolling Strings or another ensemble is performing for an international counterpart visit for the Army senior leaders, the impact these musicians have with international guests by playing music or singing a song in the country's native language is truly significant, reinforcing the old adage, where words fail, music speaks. I credit Pershing Zone for pulling me out of my own funk following the Pentagon attack. As a result, I've never underestimated the power of music and leveraged many elements of Pershing Zone for our outreach engagements. They never failed to deliver and always made a profound impact. I'm also blessed to work with 4 geographically dispersed senior commander installations: Fort Meade in Maryland, and Fort Belvoir, Fort A.P. Hill, and Joint Base Myer-Henderson Hall here in Virginia. And last but not least, I've had the opportunity to work with a magnificent front office that comes to work every day, responsible for the heavy lift and support of the command group. Thank you for what you do and did for this command every single day. And lastly, my interagency family. The term partner in our mission statement is intentional and serves a distinct purpose. It recognizes the need to be collaborative and integrated at every level, with every partner in everything we do. 99% of the time, we're in support of a lead federal agency. Our role is to assist federal and local authorities in the event of a natural or man-made disaster, or when we're asked to provide DoD capability for a national special security event, as we will next week for the White House-sponsored Africa Leaders Summit. This was no more visible than in the aftermath of the Pentagon attack. The Arlington County After Action Report on the response to the 11 September Pentagon attack highlighted, and I quote, "The partnerships forged prior to the heat of battle provided invaluable in the aftermath of the attack." There is a saying, life is not about waiting for the storms to pass, it's about learning how to dance in the rain. I believe the American people can be truly proud of this National Capital Region team and our efforts at the Pentagon on 9/11 and the 36 Department of Homeland Security sponsored and designated national special security events this regional team has executed since 2003. Each one a collaborative effort between trust at the local, state, regional, and federal law enforcement and emergency management. Professionals such as Chief Jim Schwartz, who served as the incident commander in the aftermath of the Pentagon attack, in my humble opinion, is the standard bearer for the emergency preparedness community. Chief Schwartz is one of the most forward-thinking emergency management folks I have ever got to know. I've learned a great deal from him over the years, and I thank you, Chief, for your numerous contributions to this region. The list goes on, working with Mark and Brandy Adamczyk and Charlie Gademi when they were with the U.S. Park Police as we dedicated the World War II Memorial. FBI agents Jody Smith, Jen Runyon, and Ryan Schomer to create the first ever first responder tabletop exercise. Assistant to the Special Agent in Charge, J.P. Hayden, when we were directed by the Joint Staff to create a cabinet-level tabletop exercise on 3 days' notice as part of this last inauguration. J.P., General Milley's got your number. Mike Reddy, Wes Schwark, and Matt Stoller of the U.S. Secret Service, herding the cats and dogs through countless NSSC executive steering committees, and not only embracing but adopting the military's rehearsal of concept or rock drill for national special security events. And then there is our very own Linda Mathis, the former CEO of your American Red Cross, who attends the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments Emergency Management Preparedness Council meeting on Valentine's Day, no less, carrying a Tiffany bag. We're all impressed and somewhat embarrassed that we failed to purchase a Tiffany gift on Valentine's Day for that special loved one. Linda provides an inspirational speech about caring for others and being prepared for that very worst day. Then she reaches into her Tiffany bag to show us what she has. We're all expecting expensive jewelry. Instead, Linda pulls out an emergency Red Cross radio, a survival blanket, a first aid kit, and more. She made her point. A little food for thought, though. Radio is important on Valentine's Day. Jewelry. Working with Jim Deniger and Jack McDougall and their wonderful team from the Greater Washington Board of Trade, Chuck Bean and the Honorable Libby Garvey from the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments, and Stu Solomon from Connected DMV, and so many more colleagues and friends, too many to mention them all by name. Thank you all for your trusted partnerships in supporting the men and women of this command. A good friend, Calvin Brown, reminded me that there are no endings or beginnings, just transitions that take us where we are meant to go next. So next for me is spending a lot of time with grandchildren. I've been fortunate to have many outstanding commanding generals to work for. Lieutenant General Jeff Buchanan is one of those great leaders who, upon his departure, presented me with a picture with a noteworthy quote that I have proudly hanging in my office. The quote is from the Centurions, and the words could not be more truthful. It reads, "The Army is the biggest collection of dirty dogs and idiots I've ever come across." Well, why are you in it then? It's also where one meets the most trusted friends and loyal companions. There are many people who I failed to mention, just not enough time. Those I did mention represent each of you and the contributions you have made to this organization, the region, and those military units in which I served. Your selfless sacrifice and invaluable efforts set the stage for success. You have all made a difference and had a positive impact on me. In closing, thank you for your mentorship and friendship. It's truly been an honor and a pleasure to serve alongside each of you. You made this last part of my career incredibly rewarding, making my decision to retire a very difficult one. But I know it's time. I'll miss you all, but we'll continue to watch your activities and continued positive and lasting contribution from afar. I wish you all the success and happiness in your current endeavors. Thanks for being part of my life. I depart a soldier for life.
Got a corner lot on Dogwood Drive, a year-old truck and a 9 to 5. He'll come home to a pretty wife with a baby due. He'll sleep in on Saturday, cut the grass if it don't rain. After church he'll watch the game and have a beer too. He'll stand up when he hears the anthem, and that won't ever change. He's still a soldier, his blood runs red, white, and blue. He put away his gun and boots, but he still believes the American dream. Till his last breath he'll always be a soldier. He's still a soldier. He's on his couch for the news at 10. He'll see those places that he's been. And when a brother falls, there's a part of him that does too. And if they called and needed him back, oh, he'd be on that plane. He's still a soldier. His blood runs red, white, and blue. Put away his gun and boots, He put away his gun and his boots, but he still believes the American dream. Till his last breath he'll always be a soldier. He's still a soldier. He's still a soldier.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the Army Song. The United States Army is honored to have presented today's special ceremony. Please join Mr. Hawrylak and his family on the floor for a receiving line. Thank you for attending and enjoy the rest of your day.